The bright lights of the television studio shimmered against the polished floor, casting a glow of excitement over the audience. It was a day filled with the promise of laughter and the celebration of love. From Hollywood, a place where dreams and reality often intertwine, the stage was set for a classic display of matrimonial harmony and the occasional, hilarious misunderstanding. The air hummed with anticipation as the announcer introduced the stars of the show, the couples who had come to share their stories and compete for a dream getaway. First, there were Melody and Bill Cairns, who had exchanged their rings 13 months ago, still basking in the glow of their first year of marriage. Following them were Mickey and Matt Colleton, couple number 2, who had recited their sacred vows 19 months ago. The third pair, Denise and Chris Schifundo, had joined their lives together 14 months prior. Finally, representing the newest chapter of romance, were Aaron and Stephen Stone, couple number 4, who had made their union official just 3.5 months ago. The crowd erupted in applause as the legendary Bob Eubanks stepped onto the stage. With a warm smile and a welcoming wave, he greeted everyone. "Hello, everybody," he said, his voice carrying the seasoned charm of a master of ceremonies. "Thank you. Hello, and welcome to the Newlywed Game." He expressed his genuine joy that so many could join them today to witness the journey of these 4 wonderful couples. With a twinkle in his eye, he asked if they were ready to play the game. To begin the festivities, Bob explained the procedure. He planned to ask the husbands a series of insightful questions, but first, the atmosphere required a touch of mystery. In order to do that, he told the group, "We must ask the ladies to leave." With polite gestures, he directed the wives toward the soundproof booth, thanking them as they exited the main stage. While the ladies were making their way to their temporary seclusion, Bob turned his attention to the husbands. He reminded them that the upcoming questions would be worth 5 points each. The goal was for each husband to predict exactly how his wife would answer the same question upon her return. If the answers matched, the couple would earn 5 points. Bob reminded them of the ultimate stakes. The couple with the most points at the conclusion of the show would win a fabulous second honeymoon. The first question, a light-hearted inquiry into the early days of their romance, was posed to the gentlemen. Bob asked them to reflect on the very start of their relationship. He wanted to know if their wives would describe their initial dating policy as hands-off, slow down, or come and get it. Stephen, representing the newest marriage, was the first to speak. With a confident grin, he answered, "Come and get it, Bob." He quickly followed up with a humorous disclaimer, saying that he certainly was not the one setting that policy. Chris, on the other hand, took a more conservative approach, predicting his wife would say slow down. When it was Matt's turn, he agreed with Stephen's bold assessment, choosing come and get it. Bill rounded out the group by also selecting come and get it. This left poor Chris standing alone in his prediction, prompting Bob to joke about what might have happened in Chris's unique romantic history. Moving on to the next question, Bob introduced a hypothetical scenario involving a high-profile dinner guest. He asked the husbands to imagine that Bill Clinton were in town and chose to eat dinner with them, their wives, and both of their families. The question was, which relative would your wife say you would probably conveniently forget to invite? Chris didn't hesitate for a second. "My dad," he said. "Definitely my dad." Bob was surprised and asked why he would exclude his own father. Chris explained that his father lived on Mulberry Street in New York and was a very outspoken, tough guy, reminiscent of a John Gotti type. Chris worried that his father's blunt nature wouldn't set a good example for America during a presidential dinner. He mimicked his father's intense way of speaking, much to the amusement of the audience. Matt was next and decided that his wife would say he'd leave out her mother. Bill shared this sentiment, emphatically stating that it would definitely be her mom, without question. Stephen, however, chose to look toward his own side of the family, predicting his wife would say he would forget to invite his own mom. The third question delved into the minor irritations that can crop up in a shared household. Bob asked the husbands to complete a sentence as if they were speaking. "I would pay the Newlywed Game big bucks if they'd lock my wife up in the soundproof booth the next time she started yapping about what?" Matt reflected on his own habits and guessed his wife would say he was yapping about him cleaning the house, admitting that he was a little lacking in that department. Bill predicted his wife would say he complained about her constantly asking if he loved her. He noted that she asked that question probably 20 times a day, needing constant reassurance. Stephen's answer took a more specific turn as he predicted his wife would mention him cleaning his guns in the house. Bob, curious, asked how many guns he owned. Stephen revealed he had just two, a 12-gauge shotgun and a 9mm pistol. Chris finished the round by predicting his wife would mention the proper storage of a kitchen sponge. He explained that she was very particular about putting the sponge back in its little holder. Bob couldn't help but find the contrast hilarious. One husband was cleaning a 9mm pistol while another was worried about a sponge holder. With the first round of predictions complete, Bob thanked the gentleman and announced a brief break. He promised the audience that they would soon reunite the newlyweds to see how well the husbands had predicted their wives' thoughts. When the show returned, the ladies were brought back to the stage, each holding a card with their husband's recorded prediction. Bob welcomed them back warmly and prepared to reveal the results. The first question was repeated for the wives. At the very start of your relationship, does your husband think your policy was more come and get it, slow down, or hands off? Melody was the first to answer, and she firmly stated, hands off. When Bob revealed that Bill had predicted come and get it, a playful debate ensued. Bill reminded her of an early encounter where he claimed she had been the aggressor, but Melody insisted she had been a perfect lady, jokingly accusing him of lying. Nikki also chose hands off, which conflicted with Matt's prediction of come and get it. Matt jokingly questioned her memory, but Nikki stood her ground. Denise followed suit with hands off, which was different from Chris's prediction of slow down. Chris tried to justify his answer by saying he had more experience and had told her to slow down, but Denise maintained her version of events. Finally, Erin also said hands off, which clashed with Stephen's prediction of come and get it. It seemed all the husbands had overestimated their wives' initial eagerness. The next topic was the dinner with Bill Clinton and the forgotten relative. Mickey confirmed Matt's prediction, saying it would have to be her mom. Denise also matched Chris's prediction by naming his dad. She explained that his father's tough guy persona in Little Italy made them a little nervous. Erin agreed with Stephen, choosing his mom and describing her as feisty, which Bob noted was a very polite way of putting it. Melody also correctly predicted her mom. She explained that her mother had a very unique personality, once suggesting they get married in a nudist colony in the mountains of Hawaii. Bill's prediction was a perfect match, and the audience laughed at the unexpected family anecdote. The conversation then shifted to the things the wives allegedly yapped about. Denise guessed her husband would say she talked too much about her brother's kids, but the real answer was the kitchen sponge holder. Denise laughed and explained the frustration of finding soap marks all over the sink when the sponge wasn't put away properly. Erin guessed she might be accused of yapping about beer, but Stephen's card revealed the truth, cleaning his guns in the house. Erin admitted that seeing him sit in his underwear cleaning weapons and drinking beer was indeed a common sight. Melody's guess was more personal, involving her feelings about their physical relationship. She jokingly mentioned that Bill thought she valued intimacy more than breathing. However, Bill's actual prediction was her constant need for verbal reassurances of his love. Nikki guessed she talked about work too much, but Matt's card showed he thought she complained about his lack of house cleaning. As the show moved into the next phase, the husbands were sent off stage so the wives could make their own predictions for the 10-point questions. Bob started with a cinematic theme, asking which Dustin Hoffman movie best described their husband's recent bedroom behavior: Marathon Man, Midnight Cowboy, Hook, or Little Big Man. Denise chose Little Big Man, explaining that her husband had been a bit laid back lately and needed to be coaxed out of his shell. Mickey, on the other hand, confidently chose Marathon Man, suggesting a high level of endurance. Melody also went with Little Big Man, though she joked that Rain Man might have been more appropriate. Erin, still in the honeymoon phase, definitely chose Marathon Man. The next question was a bit more daring, asking for the first name of the last woman who had been involved with their husband before they were married. Mickey named Noel, Melody guessed Carol, Erin said Sanji, and Denise mentioned a woman nicknamed Luna, admitting she didn't know the person's real name. For the final question of this round, the wives had to complete a sentence: "It's just not fair. Cars come with a spare tire, so why couldn't my husband have come with a spare what?" Melody humorously suggested a spare part of the male anatomy. Erin chose a spare alter ego. Denise suggested a spare mind, as her husband was always deep in thought. Mickey wished for spare ears, admitting that she talked so much she needed him to have extra hearing capacity. A bonus question worth 25 points asked whether the husbands were more likely to consume red peppers, green peppers, or Dr. Peppers. Erin and Mickey both chose Dr. Pepper, while Denise chose red pepper and Melody also chose Dr. Pepper. After another short break, the husbands returned to the stage to see if they could match these 10-point answers. Bob asked Matt which movie described his behavior. Matt chose Marathon Man, which was a perfect match for Mickey's answer, earning them 10 points. Chris chose Marathon Man as well, but Denise had said Little Big Man, leading to a funny exchange about Chris being too tired to perform because he stayed up all night like a marathon runner. Stephen matched Erin's answer of Marathon Man, securing 10 points for them. Bill, however, jokingly called himself a little cowboy before settling on Little Big Man, which matched Melody's prediction perfectly. When asked about the last woman they were with before marriage, Chris guessed Jennifer, failing to match Denise's answer of Luna. Stephen correctly guessed Sanji, matching Erin's answer and earning 10 more points. Bill guessed Melanie, but Melody had remembered a woman named Carol from Bill's past, causing a bit of playful tension about Bill calling Melody by the wrong name in the past. Matt guessed Christy, but Mickey had said Noel, leading Matt to quickly decide he didn't want to discuss who Christy was on national television. In the final round of matching, the husbands tried to guess the spare part their wives wanted. Stephen couldn't guess alter ego, and Bill couldn't guess Melody's humorous anatomical suggestion. Matt guessed a spare bank account, but Mickey had wanted spare ears. Chris guessed a spare brain, which was close enough to Denise's answer of a spare mind to be considered a match by the judges. Before the final bonus question, Bob announced the prize for the winning couple, a fabulous trip to Mexico at the Doubletree Resort Ixtapa. The description of the sun-filled days and luxurious beach overlooking the Pacific Ocean set the stage for a thrilling finish. The 25-point bonus question about the peppers began. Bill and Melody needed the points and Bill correctly chose Dr. Peppers, matching Melody's answer. Matt and Mickey were up next, but Matt chose red peppers while Mickey had said Dr. Pepper. Chris and Denise were back in the running as Chris correctly chose red peppers to match Denise. Finally, it came down to Stephen and Erin Stone. They already had 25 points and needed this match to win. Stephen confidently said Dr. Pepper. It was a match. The audience cheered as the Stones were declared the grand prize winners. Bob Eubanks thanked all the couples for their participation and their willingness to share a piece of their lives with the world. He wished everyone a wonderful day and promised to see them next time. The studio filled with music and laughter as the credits began to roll, celebrating another day of love, laughter, and the enduring bond of the newlywed journey.